Hello, everybody. I hope the sound is good. I hope you're all doing fine. In the last 24 hours, we had a lot of events going on, a lot of stopping of events that were supposed to be planned to be going on, all kind of terrorist attacks. And, there were Christmas events that were canceled that I saw in France. There was the mob attack, kind of like against the Hanukkah event in Amsterdam. And of course, cherry on top, we have at least 16 dead from the mass shooting that had happened on Bondi Beach in Australia. And I was sitting here and I was thinking, how do I frame it, right? Because I've seen so many people talk about it and with good intentions, and they all use different framings, right? So one way to look at it is an assault from Islam on the West. Another way to look at it, and I'm talking about the Bondi Beach. Another way, which seems to be, and I understand why it's extremely important for the Jewish community, for the government in Australia to acknowledge that that was an attack on the Jewish community. Another framing I've seen a lot, which ironically enough is done by people on our side, like people who are especially non-Jews who support Israel and Jews in general, who frame it as Israelis were killed, right, as an attack on Israelis. So there is like this mix-up on Jews, Israelis, attack on the West, motivation, everything that's going on. Is it an ideological warfare? Is it tactical warfare? Is it a race thing where you have a hate for a group with no reason other than this is the designated group to hate? And here, yeah, a left-wing terror attack stopped in LA, and it was an Islamic terrorist attack. And here's the other thing, right? Do we look at the event on the onslaught, right, in Australia, separately from everything that's happening? If we ignore all the attempts to cancel Christmas and Hanukkah events all over, or are we? There is a reason to isolate it, which I understand, because specifically in Australia, the Jewish community had been ignored, its security been ignored, it's underfunded compared to the level of risk it's at. It's been under threat for a long time. Synagogues had been set fire, and cars exploded, and basically the writing was on the wall. So it is important to say in Australia, it's an attack on Jews because you have to protect Jews in Australia. So this is what it's for, and that's the kind of framing that makes sense there. But it's also what globalized intifada means, but it's not only against Jews, and it will not just be against Jews, it's going to be against anyone who has any kind of values that are incompatible, problematic for the Islamic agenda, problematic for any person that would want to come and enslave you. So people who have their own values, who stand strong, who have their own religion, their own community, their own understanding of bad and good, and they follow it and stick to it, they're seen as a threat to anyone who wants to enslave you. And the bottom line is this is what is happening in the world, and people are motivated and brainwashed in different ways to make them act a certain way to promote that agenda. But in the end of the day, it's people who want freedom, who want agency, who want responsibility, who want to have a choice, who want to who understand that here's how we can govern ourselves by being responsible people who care about the environment, who act, who choose to stop somebody who's shooting, who choose to do their job. Just competence. And I've seen so many variations of it, right? You have the lands versus the scavengers. You have the competent versus the incompetent, the basement dwellers versus those who are go-getters. And it's all true. It's all true. In the end of the day, we are in a war between good and evil, between light and darkness, between freedom and slavery. And you cannot ignore the different roles the different communities play in it. So it will always be Jews first, because Jews had brought to the world the how to get out of slavery manual with the Torah. So the Torah, you have a God that promised the people, the Israelites, to get them out of slavery, out of the house of bondage. And the whole story is telling you how you get out of slavery. That's what it is. That's what it really is about. And then there are borders. So each nation would be free at their borders, at their homes. It's not globalism that the Torah is promoting. It's a nation within clear borders who live by their own needs that is based upon what the ground needs as well. And yet, on the other side, you have those who see no boundaries in any way, shape, or form you can imagine them. They want to owe you because there is no boundary between them and you for them. They are looking to control others, not themselves. And when it comes to their own behavior, there are no boundaries, because no self-control, no boundary for you. But for anyone they want to control, they must have, under their thumb. That's what they're trying to do. So you cannot separate the role of the Jewish people of being those carriers of information. Jews carry the information that is needed, right, historically, to get out of bondage. And they're a threat to those who want to keep you in bondage. So you cannot ignore the role of the Jews and why they are being threatened first. But you need to also understand why they are being threatened. And after Saturday always comes Sunday, always. Because if there are those who carry the same message, the same, infrastructure, the second ones are the Christians who chose a slave to be their God and saying, hey, a slave can be lifted up from nothing, from dirt to heaven, because we all have it in us. And so they had crossed boundaries between saying, hey, we are free people, with that imagery. So you have the OGs, the Jews, who get attacked first, and then you're always going to have everyone else seeking freedom. Christianity always follows. And then Hindus, everyone else, doesn't matter. So it's a very interesting thing. How do you look at it? On one hand, Jews need special protection. They need special protection. They're hated especially because they are the spark. Then you have the Christians. And that is the order. It's important to know that it's the order, but it's also important to know that it all comes together. All the Western values, which I don't think they're Western. They're not necessarily Western. They're human values. If you say, here's another thing, there are small ways to tell that you are pagan. One way to tell that you have paganic thought is to say something like Islam is incompatible with the West. It means you're a pagan. And here's why. Because you think there is more than one God. The meaning of one God says there is one law. There is one truth. There is something that is the basis, that is human, no matter where you are. That's the fundamentalism of one God. It means that the 10 Commandments should apply everywhere, right? The 7 Noahide laws should apply everywhere. So you cannot believe in one God and say something like Islam is incompatible with the West. The only way that you can say that and still be a one God person believer, whatever way that one God manifests for you, in the end of the day, if it's like by having multifaceted ways of worshiping the same God, by choosing a different, narrow way of looking at that God. And this is the representation that you are focusing on right now. But in the end of the day, it's the same base. or if it's a trinity or whatever, if you believe that no matter where, right? Because if there is something I absolutely dislike, is to say that, a woman shouldn't be raped unless she's born in Pakistan, then it's part of her culture, then she should be raped there. No matter where, a woman should not be raped. No matter where, murder is not okay. Stealing is not okay. Coveting is not okay. Communism, coveting, that is what communism is, shouldn't be applied anywhere. Because the base is the same everywhere. And that is what it means to break the idols. That is what it means to believe in one God. This is the revolution that Judaism brought. It says, no matter who you are, no matter what you are, no matter what class you were born into, you deserve the same law. You deserve justice just as anyone else, no matter if you are king or the poorest of the poor. No matter if the widows and the orphans, they deserve extra protection. They deserve because they don't have any men to protect them directly. It is everyone's job to protect them, because their rights need to be protected, because it's their rights, because it's human rights. So this what it means to believe in one God, and this is why they're chasing Jews. They're chasing Jews because Jews believe in equality in front of the law. And that means that Muslims cannot claim to be superior to anyone else. White supremacists cannot be claiming that they're superior to anyone else. And in this, as smart as you are, it doesn't mean that you would bring more light into the world than just a person that is dumb but smiles and hugs. Sometimes that person that is kind of dumb, but they're smiling, brings so much more into the world than the most genius, amazing person in their own minds would. So you are not the one to judge who has more intrinsic value. So this is the war we're at now. This is what we are facing, and we need to understand that. And we need to, so first and foremost, like the role of the Jews, we need to understand what it is. You need to understand why Jews need to be protected. They need to be protected because of the information they carry, the principles they carry. It's because the Jews brought to the world inventions that are unprecedented. Whether if you are resting on the weekend, the fact that you have people were created in the image of God, all those principles were born and brought by Judaism. And that doesn't work well with those who seek to control others. Judaism says, control yourself, not others. Actually, I watched a rabbi today talking about that principle exactly. And because Jews brought those principles to the world, they're being chased. And in order to persecute Jews, there are a lot of different tactics and methods that are being applied for the average person to be convinced that the right thing to do is to massacre Jews, whether their race is inferior, because Jews are mixed with blacks, right? Tzipporah, Moses's wife, she was black, so they're inferior. Whether it's always something for, it's like the goal is the same. You have people who understand the threat that Judaism poses. They understand the threat that Jews brought to the world. They understand that Jews existing means that they don't have the control they want. So they chase Jews. And then they chase everyone who has a spark of freedom in them. Anyone. So it is important, I think, to understand all those things, because I saw so many people twisting it in different ways, presenting it in different ways. And they're all saying the truth. They're all right. They are all correct. The attack on the Jews is an attack on the West, is an attack on the West, because the West is where the principles of Judaism are now reside. It's not because it's inherently Western, geographically speaking. And attacks on Hanukkah and Christmas are also connected. And a year ago, I don't know if you guys seen, I've made videos about the connection between Hanukkah and Christmas. And what the Talmud says about it, and what Judaism says about it, and stories about it. In the end of the day, even though it's funny that it's in Australia, Australia is now in summer. Yes, those are festivals of light, exactly. These are festivals of light, bringing light into the world. And for those who want darkness, light is the scariest thing. Rebecca is too much religious. I'm more programmatic. You think you're programmatic because you don't know what religion is. Religion is law. The word religion, dat, din, in Hebrew, Arabic, it means law. Literally means law. So you think the Constitution is not pragmatic because it is religion. Constitution, if you believe in the Constitution, you are religious, according to what religion really is. When I speak of religion. So you need to know what religion is. You think it's too much religion? It's not too much religion. Religion is everything. Everything is religion. You just don't understand what religion is. And it's time you do, because if you don't understand those concepts, then you'll never be able to fight Islam. We will never be able to fight Islam if you don't understand what we are fighting against. If you don't understand what religion is. If you think you can live without it, you cannot. Because those are the principles that make you you. Everything. Is you say, why do Jews say, what do Jews say about religion is a way of life? It's because everything is. It's your choosing life, choosing a blessing. When you wake up in the morning and you ask yourself, hey, do I get up to this morning? And you choose life and blessing, that's religion. That's religion. That's being installed in you. Everything is religion. Everything is based on you being able to trust, to have faith, and let go. Let go. Stop trying to control others. Why? Why do you need religion? Because if you try to control others, it's bad for everybody. Just do the right thing and let go. Have faith. Have trust. The faith, Hebrew word for faith, is trust. Why do you trust? Because you do the right thing and you trust. You trust. You don't go crazy trying to control the situation. No, you do what's best. You do what you understand is better, the best thing to do. And it's backed by data and science. It's trust. It's trust that if I choose to do the right thing, then it's going to be better. Or you know what? It's just trust. You don't even think about it. You just do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. You gather the data. You gather statistics. You learn. You study. You see how you can improve. You take opportunities. You do the best you can. And then you just trust. Because that's the most you could do. That's where faith comes from. This is where the trust part comes from, which is in Hebrew, faith is trust, right? The word that is used is trust. Because, yeah, in the end of the day, the question is, did I did my best? Did I try? Did I look around? Did I care? And science grew out of religion. And it is religion. This is why it can go wrong, like religion goes wrong sometimes. But it doesn't mean you should stop trying, because you choose the blessing and life. Choosing the blessing is science. Science is choosing the blessing means you do science, because the science brings you the blessing. Choosing life means you just don't give up. You try your best. That's what it means. And guess where it's written? Guess where it comes from? Exactly, it comes from the Torah. It comes from the Bible. And Muslims choose death, because that is what the religion programs them to do. All right, let's go through the news, what's going on here. Some break.
The FBI now reports that it's disrupted a planned New Year's Eve terror attack. The FBI now reports that it's disrupted a planned New Year's Eve terror attack in Los Angeles. 4 suspects in custody, the FBI identifying them as members of a pro-Palestine extremist group. They're suspected of planning coordinated IED attacks targeting 5 different locations in Los Angeles. But based on the reporting now, that plot has been foiled. We will wait for more. Out of LA or out of Washington, D.C. The FBI now reports that it's disrupted a plan.
And why does it happen? It's because right now we have people following different religions. And also, speaking of Ahmed el-Ahmed, I saw there's a lot of people saying, is he Christian? Well, I don't know any Christian named Ahmed. Ahmed is usually a Muslim name. He was a hero. Definitely doesn't follow the religion of Islam, that's for sure. But this is why people get like confused, right? People are like, oh, look, a Muslim hero. Yeah, but it's like, I know Jews that suck, so what? Do they follow Judaism? I know Jews that covet. Is it Jewish? I know Jews that steal. Is it according to Judaism? I know Jews that murdered. Is it following Judaism? Nah, it doesn't. So it has nothing to do with each other. Yep, by stopping jihad, he became a kuffar, for sure. So people need to stop mixing things. If they don't understand what religion is, then they're not going to understand what's going on around the world. So people are saying, oh, the Israelis were shot. Israelis right now are in the forefront of fighting for civilization. They're doing the most. So once Israel falls, right, it's like you will see the entire world losing hope. So this is why Israel is a target. Israel represents something. It is a symbolic, as well as Jews are also a symbol. Keep telling yourself that. Why won't you go blow up yourself somewhere already? I don't know why you kept coming to my comments. Like, what are you getting out of it? Just can you explain what are you getting out of it? Clearly, like, there is nothing you can get out of it. You chose death and curses. So why are you here, sir? Why are you here? We hear We bring life and blessing. You are neither. So why are you here? Can you explain it to me? Is there some part in you that just, no, I choose good God? Okay, write the tenets of a good God, sir. What are the tenets of your good God? You don't, because choosing life and a blessing, as far as I'm concerned, that's the good God. If you want to die, go die alone.
He has a fruit shop that sells fruit and other produce. He's been here since 2006 and he's an Australian citizen. What happened is, his friend told him, let's go have coffee at Bondi. They got there and were shocked to see armed men firing their weapons and terrorists. Their lives were in danger. He noticed one of the armed men at a distance, from him hiding behind a tree. My son is a hero. He served with the police and in the Central Security Forces, and he has the impulse to protect people. When he saw people laying on the ground and the blood everywhere, immediately his conscience and his soul compelled him to pounce on one of the terrorists and to rid him of his weapon. At the same moment, the armed man's other friend was on the bridge, or whoever he is. I feel pride and honor because my son is a hero of Australia.
I'm proud.
One second, I've seen that. This is an emotional response. I want you to be aware of your emotions, intentions, and what it leads to. What does it lead to? Getting rid of scum? I don't see any problems with that.
Proud that my son was helping people. He saved lives, souls. God would not harm him because he was a do-gooder. My son has always been brave, helps people. He's like that. He saw they were dying and people were losing their lives. And when that guy ran out of ammo, he took it from him, but he was hit. He prayed that God saves him.
What does history tell us? Worm is asking. History tells us that Jews had brought a significant amount of scientific research, the inventions, art. I mean, art is more on the Christian side, not gonna lie. Christians are better with art than Jews are. I guess usury, sweetheart, is an investment. Without investments, you're gonna get nothing. Because if you don't put a seed in the ground, then nothing would grow out of the ground, sir. Do you know what usury is? You don't, because you're slow and stupid. You don't know what usury is. Usury in Judaism is investment. You cannot just lend money in Judaism. You have to invest. You have to believe that investment would bring. And that is a joint business endeavor, right? One side brings the money, the other does the business, with the hopes of the person being able to profit out of it. Without it, you're gonna have no business, no invention, and no person that has an idea would do anything. Why? Why? Because they wouldn't have the funds. That's why. I'm trying to figure out the here. So just because you don't know what science is, you don't know what anything is, because you don't know what's good for you or bad for you. And it's not that he's aggravating me. I understand he wants a reaction, and I give it to him. You know why I give it to him? Because it's important we all understand those things. Because I don't think we all do. I don't think people understand what it means to lend money. He doesn't understand what kind of prosperity it brought to the world. He doesn't understand that this system works the best for those who need the money. So, what are you gaining from being here? Because you don't have a capability to learn whatever. I don't think you can learn anything. I think you are too brain damaged to study. So for me, you guys, what a person like that, when you meet a person like that, you know what's wrong with them? Like, this person needs to be contained somehow. This is what jails are for. Like, how would you contain a person like that? Because he cannot study, he cannot learn, he cannot digest new information. He is brain damaged, clearly. So I'm just kind of, when I see a person like that, like, what do you do with people like that, right? And they think they're proud to speak. They're so proud to talk, which is amazing. So it's very interesting. Like, what do you do with these people? They are always like, you know what's crazy to me? Like, people like that are like they're always shameless. Maybe because they cannot learn. They cannot have shame of being like, oh crap, I was so wrong about my perception before. But what do you do with people like that? What do you do when they take over? They cannot learn anything. They cannot adjust. They cannot change their mind. They cannot anything. They're useless, right? It's like a failed sentence. Can you imagine you're running like a computer and then it cannot like digest new data? It's useless. I always wonder, like, what do you do with these kind of people? It's a problem. It's a real problem, because then you get people like that go on and do stupid stuff because and ruin the world. Whatever. By the way, does anyone know what happened in Brown University? Because I don't see. So that's unrelated. So here we see some of the victims, like the 27-year-old French citizen Dan El-Kayam that was murdered. Dude, sweetheart, the more you write, the more you show that you're an idiot. Why? Stop. Just stop. You know, there is a sentence that says, you know how you can seem smart? Shutting up. If you shut up, people can think that there might be hope. Stop. For your sake. I would say, like, do a Vipassana or something. You know, I believe in free speech in my channel, but you don't bring anything. Everything that you're saying doesn't have any content in it. Do you understand what I'm saying? There is no data. There is no information. It's just a bunch of words that create meaningless sentences. Just, you know? And the reason I am humiliating you right now is because it's time to be mean. I'm not gonna lie. All right, did you see an attack in LA was planned and stopped by FBI? Yes, I've seen. Thank you so much, Anna, for your support. So you guys, here's where we are at, right? When we see retards, we call them out. Why? Because if we don't, we're gonna keep losing. Those retards, shameless assholes, oh, they need to be shamed. They need to be shamed. They need to be. It's time to put them to shame and stop feeling sorry for them. You should not feel sorry for them. You should be feeling sorry for everybody who is affected by the idiot speaking. The usury is bad. You know what happens when usury stops existing? You get economic collapse. You get poverty. You stagnate. You revert to being animals. But you don't have the foresight for it. So if somebody says something like, oh, Jews invented usury, you say, here's what you stand up. Thank goodness. And then you hang them. Or something, I don't know, maybe something more humane. Let them feel like shit. They need to feel like shit. It's the only way. This is, by the way, one of my theories of why Judaism, like early Torah, liked stoning so much was because it was like a communal activity. So it's everybody, like metaphorical stoning. Like everybody's, like when you see somebody who is going against the laws of the Torah, right? You shame them communally. Everybody says something to shame them. Rebecca, seriously, let them ban usury in their own countries? No, I will not let them, because I am not a pagan believer. I don't believe in multiple gods. I believe in one God. So I'm not going to say, hey, in your country, you can live like animals. No. In your country, a country should be made out of humans in general. Animals are not supposed to have countries. That's what I think. So if you cannot behave like humans, don't have a country. Just roam around like the animals you are. Right. Here, Australian Prime Minister openly recognized the state of Palestine. Of course, and it gets, of course. This is, you see, why is the state of Palestine a problem? Is it because it bothers me? No, it's because it's going to be a state for animals. Animals shouldn't have a state. They shouldn't run a country. What makes humans human? Self-awareness, which you lack of. This is the story of the Garden of Eve. Do you know what was the difference between Adam and Eve before and after they ate the fruit of knowledge? Self-awareness, which you got none of, sweetheart. That's why you are an animal. So animals should not run a country. I have heard Islamic people also charge, of course they charge interest, but they charge it in a way that is bad. They charge it in a way that is evil. There is always ways to hide lending money and usury. Always. But the way Muslims do it is by screwing up other people. That's how they do it. Well, chickens deserve a country more than Muslims do. Yes, I agree with that. So so the way that Judaism had made usury possible is by saying, hey, you don't lend money blind. What you do, and then take interest, right? What you do, because that is that is a way that, like, the fear here is enslavement, right? So if you lend somebody money, and then you take interest, and they're in dire need, then they can turn into your slave. But Judaism against slavery. So how do you prosper as a society, and take interest because you have to? Otherwise, why would you lend money? It doesn't make sense. Is by changing the mindset and understanding that when you lend money, you actually are an investor in a business, right? So somebody comes to you, they present, hey, I want to make an investment. They need to present a plan of what business they're building, what the money is going to be used for. And then you lend them the money, and the interest is actually because it's profit, right? It's profit from the investment, from the business, from whatever you had. That's the mindset. And if you don't keep that mindset, you get the 2008 bubble, right? Because in 2008, we're like, yeah, let's just give money as if like, and then it explodes. But if you think of it as like, this is an investment, right? I'm taking part of the business. I need that business to succeed. And I'm taking a risk upon myself as well. Then you look at it differently, right? Then when you lend money with interest, it's like you make an investment. So that's how you keep the benefits and avoid the slavery. Islam is for retarded people, so it keeps the slavery and avoids the investment. When you're acting like that, thinking you are chosen, something is wrong. No, sweetheart. Sometimes people are chosen. Sometimes somebody is chosen. Sometimes somebody is elected. You see? Sometimes something is chosen. You understand? But you are too retarded to comprehend that. It's like, oh, if it's not me that is chosen. Well, I wasn't chosen to cure cancer, okay? I was not chosen for that. I can tell you why. It doesn't seem like it, at least. I wasn't chosen to a lot of things. But I was chosen to give you some wisdom when it comes to religion, because I did the studying, I put in the effort. So that's why. Anyway, so he's not retarded, he's Muslim. Well, it's the same. Chosen for what? America thinks it's chosen to be the exceptional nation. It is chosen to be the exceptional nation. Unfortunately, you have to work hard to stay chosen, which America is kind of faking right now. Yeah, I'm gonna ignore him for now, but anyway. Right now giving. Anyway, what we are seeing right now is the mind shift that we all need to have. All right. Why? Because some people need to be put in place. You have to put boundaries. Think about it. A person that, like a parent that doesn't punish their child, they hate their child. That's what the Bible says. These people were never taught or punished for bad behaviors. So they grew up to be boundaryless adults, brainless adults, like never went through the entire developmental arc they were supposed to. So, we need to acknowledge that. Yes, it doesn't sound fun. Yes, but guess what? It takes a village for education. And there is a reason, I think, was it Aristotle that said that? It takes a village. Well, it takes a village. And guess what? The village didn't do its job. The village did not educate the children. The village was like, that's the teacher's job. That's the parents' job. No, it's the fucking village's job. The entire village is supposed to educate children. I've learned a lot from people commenting randomly on my behavior when I was a child. And even now, honestly, didn't still childish sometimes. And I say thank you. Thank you for taking time. And I agree. Because learning something, improving, that's a blessing. So if the village forgot what is the role of the village for that long, the village needs to stand up and do its job. What you're saying I need to talk to the side? Is that better? Somebody's saying adjust my microphone. Like this? Is it better now? Let me know. So, Oh, you guys here? No? What? Did I do wrong? Your audio is... I have no idea. Anyway, guys, please, I don't know how many times I said on my channel that I am here to raise a village, to do their job. I dislike passive viewing. It was never my goal for you to get passive viewing. It's useless. I do it from love, out of love. And because the world needs people to stand up. Yeah. Here, Islamic scholar Abu Uzayd preaching hate against Jews in Australia in 2023. Let's hear.
So the Yahud, the Jews of Banu Israel, they have been a very mischievous...
Well, maybe that's why people just use Israeli Jews interchangeably.
The Jews of Banu Israel, they have been a very mischievous people, causing fitna even before the coming of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Jews always claim that Muslims, subhanAllah, were always making things up. We want to quote even from their own books about their very own mentality. And we need to learn about these people because this is a people that we're going to always be dealing with.
Yeah, learn something from these people. You know, when you study people and they excel and outperform on everything, and they do better than you in every aspect, then learn something from us. Maybe we do something right. Maybe there is a reason why 50% of jury prizes go to Jews. Maybe there is a reason why 25% of Nobel Prizes go to Jews. Maybe there is a reason why the best army inventions are in Israel. Maybe there is a reason why the best agricultural inventions are also in Israel. Maybe there is a reason why water technology is the best in Israel. Maybe there is a reason why Jews excel so much. Maybe there is a reason why. Maybe there is a reason why. Maybe you can stop being the fucking losers that you are by studying. You want to study about the Jews? Imitate Jews, and maybe you will stop being losers yourselves. When you may lie and abuse non-Jews, what do you think others will do to you? You see, I don't abuse you because you're not Jewish. I abuse you because you're retarded and you don't understand how dangerous you are. But I understand how dangerous you are. That's why. But there are other non-Jews who also understand that you're dangerous because you have stupid ideas. You know they're stupid because they've been studied. There is enough scientific and historical data to show that your ideas are retarded, that are bad, that they be destruction. But you don't learn from mistakes and previous mistakes, right? So that's why I can tell that you are a very dangerous person, because if somebody believes you, then whatever sphere of influence that you have would come to ruin. And it's not because you're Jewish or not Jewish. I don't know what your religion is. You could be Jewish. I don't care. It's just that your ideas are retarded. So your ideas, and because your personality is not self-aware and is undeveloped, like the lowest form of animal, you need to be contained, minimized. Nothing to do with being Jewish or not Jewish. Thank you, Yolo Swaggins, for gifting 5 Rebecca Bersef memberships. I don't know why. I used to have like a Rebecca's Bosses membership. Why did it change its name? I don't remember changing it. But thank you. Welcome, new members. Thank you.
Until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends Imam al-Mahdi. These are the people that when it comes to the end of time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would cause miracles for the nation of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to see and hear with their own eyes and ears. And it's not because you're Jewish or not Jewish. I don't know what your religion is. You could be Jewish. I don't care. It's just that your ideas are retarded. towards the end of times when the Muslims will be fighting the Jews, the trees will speak.
And you will lose. You will lose. Animals will lose. You know, the only thing that would make a difference is whether the Jews choose to fight back or not. You see, there is a problem with Jews that is called demoralization. And I've spoken to enough Jews and rabbis to know that this is it used to be more common than it is now, where Jews believe that there is no hope for humanity anyway. So why would they try to fight? And just tired, give up, get slaughtered, whatever. First of all, like most of the Jews died in the gas chamber. And second is that there is a reason I'm speaking to non-Jews, because I'm not demoralized. I believe in humanity. And just because I was lucky enough to be born Jewish and therefore being fed the Jewish knowledge from birth with all the side effects of having like a good, solid operating system installed, I still see that there is a lot of reasons to believe that you don't have to be born into it and that you can improve or be even better. Whether it's like because you're inclined to be so genetically, and that is has nothing to do with you being Jewish ethnically or not, or because you have a good learning ability, or because you're kind, or because there are a lot of reasons. So yeah, I just want to give on. All right, it's not about Judaism that I'm trying to convert people to Judaism. No, I want to give the knowledge, the reasons why. I had done a lot of work to understand why Jews are more successful, to explain it to others that are non-Jews so that they could actually step up. And there is nothing wrong with Jews having competition. There is not like being the only one that shines. Why? No, it's better that everybody shines. There are challenges in this world that have nothing to do with us fighting with each other. There are volcanoes, there are diseases, there is a sun that is going to explode. It's not going to explode, but it's going to get bigger. There are meteorites. There are so many things that we can fight and compete. Competition is important. This is why God loves borders as well. So we could compete. But there needs to be a competition. There needs to be. Everybody needs to have that. And everybody's going to be benefiting. Shana, thank you so much. I don't understand why people think they can just read Jewish text and understand the context. Literally, there is a website explaining the interpretation, but haters are arrogant. Yeah, and I also think that Jews didn't do a perfect, like they're trying. Like now with social media, there are so many rabbis I've seen like on Instagram giving Jewish wisdom and tips. And it's like they always get like, oh my God, the admin tips are really good, which is so funny. I love those comments, but it's true. Finally, rabbis have a platform and just give tips for everyone. And then they get a lot of, oh my God, the admins dropped to give a tip and it's a really good tip. Well, yeah, it is. It's a blessing. It's a blessing to have that ability to teach those things. There's nothing, right? It's nothing like Jews are permitted to learn from the goys, right? If the goys are correct, if the goys figure out something, Jews are like, we're going to learn from the goys. What are we, stupid? And so you can also take, right? Before you eliminate the Jews, before you slaughter everyone, before you go and chase the Jews down every tree and the stones and everything, at least figure out, right? Get the knowledge out of them. Maybe you're gonna need the ability to do science in the future. I don't know. Maybe you're gonna need the things that made Jews successful. Maybe you're gonna need that knowledge. So maybe just try to grab that out at first. So here's the thing. I'm going to share, and if we go extinct, at least you're going to have the knowledge. I say, before you kill us all, get the information. That's important. Steven Landovich, thank you so much for your support. Jews are losing because we are too self-righteous to argue that Western countries should never have admitted third world immigrants. Well, no, I think Jews are losing, but from even worse than that. Like, I think self-righteous, there are a lot of reasons. Jews have very weird egos. I agree with that. But it's true. But I see there are lights of change, lights towards the better.
The stone would speak, and they'll say, "O Muslim, O believer, there is a Yahudi behind me. Come and kill him." We see that the Jews, they killed many.
Okay, sweetheart. Scientific achievements is what helps people, right? You wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for Jewish scientific achievements, because you wouldn't have the food to live. And actually, most of the Arab world is not supposed to be alive right now. It's thanks to Jewish inventions that allowed them to have enough food to live. Which I agree was probably a mistake. You should have never been born. But whatever. Here we're at. I guess this is the problem with self-righteousness. You invent stuff, you give it to the world, and then you feed people who shouldn't not have been born. Yeah, it's better to teach people how to, instead of giving people fish, teach them how to fish. This is the problem with Jews. Jews been giving people fish. And the result of that is that a lot of people that are just parasites been living. Instead of that, we should teach people how to fish, and then you can make your own scientific inventions and justify your existence yourself.
Prophets, including Zachariah and John, who we know as John, or the Christians say John the Baptist, we say Yahya. And he said they were holding a position of wealth in the society, and they would use this wealth in order to have authority over the weak, just like they do today. You find that their hands are in everywhere, in businesses, in products that we should be boycotting, Coca-Cola and Nike and McDonald's and Starbucks, and the list is long.
Yeah, of course it's long.
Everywhere, so
they have their hand everywhere. It's because you lazy fucks don't do shit. Do something. We share. There's enough room for everybody. In fact, I'll tell you something. Most Jews are tired from working so hard. So seriously, like, just take something. Why not? We want to chill.
So in the media, as they do today, and they would use this against the weak. Another thing that they were very good at was they had one of the most oppressive interest loans, that they would give a loan to people that were in need that was impossible to pay back. Again, this still continues today, where we find the majority of banks are owned by.
I know, exactly. This is what happens when you give Muslims food. They can never, it's a bad investment. It's bad investment. I agree. The entire Muslim world, the 4 billion people, live because Jews were kind enough to make inventions that would allow them to live. And then Christians, right? Christians are also stupid together with Jews, right? Because Christians are the ones like that keep bringing them, right? The Jews made the invention that Christians feed them. Bad invention, bad investment, bad. I cannot say that I cannot agree with this person. You are alive. You live off Australian government in your community, and it's a loan to people that are in need, but it will be impossible for you to pay back because you are losers, you're Muslims. You are good for nothing. You cannot generate or create. You can only take and then die. I agree. There is nothing not to agree with here. Until now, 100% correct.
Loans that they use this against the weak. Another thing that they were very good at was they had one of the most oppressive interest loans, that they would give a loan to people that were in need that was impossible to pay back. Again, this still continues today, where we find the majority of banks are owned by the Jews. Peace is bad for the Jews. There's no business if the Muslims have peace, there's no business for us.
I mean, I don't know what to say. I have nothing nice to say, so I better say nothing.
There goes our media, there goes our Hollywood blockbuster films and whatever that's always targeting Muslims. And it's no good. So they need the fitna between the Muslims.
I agree. Jews made a mistake. There are too many Muslims right now that are alive because of Jewish inventions, and now population control is needed. Can I argue with that? No, there is some truth to it. You can't argue. I mean, I kind of wish that population had decided to, like, do something with itself, like, instead of, like, chasing down Jews, like, the camel cola. Good job, whatever, right? Like, copy more stuff. I don't know, like, being more inventive. I'm all for it.
Fighting the infighting of the Muslims to continue in order to
And like build banks. I don't know, thrive, whatever. I mean, I don't see a learning capability here. So can I blame him? And can I blame what he's saying? Well, that's a reality. This is what when you make bad investment, then you need to figure out how you cut your losses. No? Obviously, they're all gonna kill each other. What other way do they have forward? Are they gonna study and learn? Obviously not.
thrive. Who's in this fortress hiding like the cowards that they are, today, hiding in their tanks, hiding behind their large walls?
See, can I say something? Can I not agree? I agree. We shouldn't be hiding behind larger walls. We should come and flatten you. And there is nothing I can agree with. Like, what do you want?
If you want to fight us, come fight us. You're gonna meet men that you've never fought before. Now,
by the way, for the record, you know why the Muslims in Israel are rather submissive? Because I remember, throughout in mixed cities, the Jews and the Arabs go out to the street, man to man, fist to fist, and they just beat the crap out of the Muslims every single time. So the Muslims learn their place. All right, if you know.
What are they doing? Hiding like the rats that they are. Nobody come and tell me, but brother, this is the Zionists, it's not really the Jews. There was no Zionists at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. It was Jews, Yahud, and they were addressed this way. And I want to say, this, my dear brothers and sisters, that even these ultra-Orthodox Jews that you see today that are against Israel, and they hate the Zionists, we really know that from what we just mentioned, that they don't really have a unity. But these ultra-Orthodox Jews, who do you think they're waiting for? They're still waiting for their Messiah to come. And when that Messiah comes, they're still going to fight the Muslims. They're just not fighting the Muslims now.
Well, I disagree with their strategy. I think that I think the ultra-Orthodox, they chose like the same bad investment, right? So it's also there. I disagree, but it's good that we have like 50% of the Jews like making that one type of investment, the other 50% another. Long term, one investment will gonna show itself as more correct than the other. And then the Muslims will get moaned.
I think that these people are still your friends. Yes, alhamdulillah, let them ride the wave and let them speak about the Zionists, about Israel, no problem. It's good for us. Enjoy the show.
Yes, Jews fighting the German hooligans in America. They only had to learn the lesson. I agree. See, who like it's sometimes it's we agree to fight. This is what war was invented for. Are we gonna pretend there is no war? Like, why am I supposed to pretend there isn't a war? Why am I supposed to like pretend? No, Listen, I think the world gave the Muslims long enough to try to become humans. The Muslims chose to not become humans generally, except that one person, Ahmed al-Ahmed. One chose to. Every Muslim that would step up and say, hey, I'm self-aware, okay, cool. Welcome, stay alive, all right, whatever. Here is to go to the prosperity, think. Choose life and blessing. Amazing. Welcome. I believe in individual choice, right? And everyone else can go. Yeah, let's stop rewarding terrorists. I agree. Yeah. They threw the Jews under the bus to appease the hostile Islamic community. This is a warning from Netanyahu to Albanese in August, as in the UK, France, and Canada, and elsewhere, allowing incessant globalized intifada, Jew hate marches, spreading government distortions about Israel, failing to counter widespread lies of rewarding terrorism. Yeah, there is something about the passiveness of the Christian countries is also not so impressive. But it's a matter of choice. It's a matter of choice. You have to make a choice. We all have to make a choice. It's time to make a choice. And can we blame people who were programmed to be monsters, that they are behaving like monsters? No, we cannot blame them. You can only blame yourself for not understanding that there is a monster in front of you. And think, well, how do we distinguish the animals from the humans? It's a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice. And it's time that we say it out loud and gather people around us. By the way, I do recommend watching the interview Erin Mulan had today with a couple that survived the mass shooting in Australia, where the woman there described how she reached out for, so one of the police people, which I don't remember, I think it was a man, but whatever. She said, the policeman that just hid and didn't do anything. So she tried to grab the police person's gun to shoot at the terrorist. And she said they wouldn't let her, which I found as wow. So it's civilians who took action, and then the police was useless in Australia. What's going on? Anyway, I don't like diving too much into the details, right? Because I don't think a huge terror attack in Los Angeles stopped by FBI. Jews mass shooting. Paris canceled Christmas, right? Jews attacked in Amsterdam. It's with so many trees, you might miss out the forest. You might not understand that you're looking at a forest. Yeah, that's a good idea. Try to get Erin to do a live with you. I'll try to do that. I'll text her. So here's the situation. We have a choice. It's time to make the choice. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Good night. And please like, comment, share, watch my videos. And please also, in the comments, if you can, just make some video requests. I need some motivation, right? What of an affirmation. So yeah, thank you, everybody, for being here. I feel the number of watchers just spiked. So are there any questions before I go? I think I'm good. All right, everybody. Good night. Be strong. Take a stand. Speak. And use fists when the time comes. Be smart about it. I trust you all.